Jays Talk, brought to you by your Ontario Honda dealers. Show Ali and Josh Goldberg here with you as the Blue Jays defeat the Royals 4-0 at Rogers Centre. George Springer had 3 RBI. The leadoff man hit 2 home runs, one a solo shot, the other a 2-run blast. Marcus Semien, an RBI triple. And as Ben mentioned, Alek Manoah, 7 shutout innings, only 2 hits, 1 walk, and 4 strikeouts. And Josh, the Blue Jays did it all in 2 hours and 19 minutes. Oh, baby, I know no cheering in the press box, but that gets me excited, let me tell you.
Oh, yeah. Quick games are always good, especially on the weekend. And it was just a very brisk, nicely played game, right? Very well pitched by Alek Manoah, who continues to be great, right? Every time, pretty much, he takes the ball, he gives the Blue Jays a chance to win. And you looked at the opportunity here. Rob and I talked about this last night, coming home to Toronto, the energy, the boost, the momentum, the deadline giving you the boost, not selling, but actually aggressively buying in the case of Jose Barrios, who it seems like is going to start tomorrow. 3 against Kansas City, 4 against Cleveland. A lot of winnable games. Now you're looking at a possible sweep, and it would be great to get it. This is the stretch here. 7 games before you get to the Red Sox for, I guess it'll be 4 because of a doubleheader.
Right.
Big stretch here to put yourself in position to hopefully close the gap a little bit, and then for once, maybe you'll be able to actually gain some ground on the Red Sox instead of just treading water or losing a game.
Only a few games back of a wild card spot right now for the Toronto Blue Jays, as Blue Jays baseball is powered by Jack Links. They win it 4-0 today. Do you want to get to our players of the game? I know we've switched things up a little bit in recent days, but but we heard Ben do his player of the game. Why don't you give me yours, and then I'll go as well.
I'm going to go with George Springer, setting the tone offensively. First pitch homer off of Mike Minor, hit another 2-run homer to right center field. He's got gap power, right? He's not a pull hitter. He can hit it up the box. He can hit it to right field. Just looks comfortable. And you look at the numbers, 941 OPS, 11 homers. Has been great since being reinstated into the leadoff spot. Just a total game changer in the lineup. And we talked about this a little bit as he was getting his feet wet, that once he started to be the player that fans were envisioning when he signed that 6-year, $150 million deal, that's almost a deadline addition with the timing in and of itself.
Sure.
And it's proving to be the case as he really gives this lineup a shot in the arm, and just great at bats today, and really, really nice to see him finding his footing.
It does kind of feel, and I know you and I have had this conversation before, and Rob, and adding him to it as well. The three of us kind of saying, well, what kind of took it so long, right? Because Semien, hey, look, I've sung Semien's praises all year, and I will continue to do so. And I certainly hope he re-signs with the Toronto Blue Jays in the offseason. But, I mean, he had been scuffling a little while after he was named Player of the Month for May, I think that was, right? A scorching May. He wasn't bad, certainly, but it certainly came back down to earth a little bit, and it felt like maybe the reshuffled lineup could have provided some juice, a shot in the arm, maybe a little sooner. But hey, look, I'm not going to complain, because George Springer, like you said, since being promoted back to that leadoff spot, like you said, he is the most, or one of the most, at the very least, prolific leadoff hitters in all of Major League Baseball. He has been absolutely phenomenal. I'm going to go for my player of the game, like Ben did, Alek Manoah. Again, just sensational tonight. 2 hits over 7 shutout innings, 1 walk, and 4 strikeouts. A great moment as well, and you heard Ben talk about it on the broadcast, where it looked like he and I think Salvador Perez shared a moment, and Salvador Perez, he said something like, clearly in jest to him. I couldn't read his lips, but he was kind of laughing and smiling. And I mean, Salvador Perez is a pros pro as well. So anytime you have a great game like that, for your first ever start in front of the real quote unquote home crowd, and you get a nod like that from someone like Perez, I think that must feel great. I imagine.
Yeah, Manoah is a real character, right? He's always got a lot of energy, a lot of smiles on his face. He keeps it light, but when push comes to shove, he'll buckle it down as well. And I think I was looking at the game log. This is now his 5th start of 9 in his big league career. It seems like more. I know, there's been he missed some time and whatnot, but only 9 big league starts, but more than half of them he's completed 6 or more innings, which is really, really impressive for a rotation that has sorely needed that kind of quality and length in baseball games, where there's been a lot of 5 and dive, and early in the season, even 5 and dive would have been a success. To be going 6+ and giving his team a chance to win every time virtually that he takes the ball, just a fairy tale dream start to really any big league career, but a starting pitcher in the American League East to be able to do that, I tip my cap. He has been absolutely excellent.
Josh is tipping his cap. I'm giving the player of the game nod as well to Alek Manoah. He spoke with Hazel May, our very own Hazel May, down on the field at Rogers Center after the game. Let's hear what he had to say.
Well, he's back all right. 7 scoreless innings for Alek Manoah. Congratulations. The broadcast raved about that nasty slider of yours. What else did you think you did well this afternoon?
I just think getting ahead of guys, throwing a lot of strikes, and then being able to put them away with that slider was huge today. And just let the defense work behind me. I don't have to do it all myself. Just let them work and just go as far as I can.
It's been a long time since you pitched in a big league game, since before the All-Star break. When you went down to the GCL, what did that kind of tell you where you were at, Alek?
It told me you need to get back on a big league mound. I really wanted to be out there with the boys in Boston, and went down there in the GCL and just got everything feeling good, the mechanics feeling good again, knocked some of that rust off, and like Pete said, and just be able to come out here and give my team everything I got.
I know you're super focused when you come out here. You had your earbuds on, but I don't know if you noticed the ovation you got when you came down the left field line. What did you think about your Rogers Center debut?
It was great. I couldn't hear it too much, but I could sure feel it. The vibration, this place was bumping today, so it's just really good to finally be on that mound, and with all these fans, it was amazing.
And I like to look at people's shoes. I'm a big shoe person. But were you wearing your Canada Day cleats?
Yeah, first day back in Canada, we got to do it big.
Okay, very, very good. Before I let you go, I'm really fortunate to have a pretty good view into the dugout. And usually in between innings, starting pitchers kind of keep to themselves and are awfully quiet. You're Mr. Chatty Cathy, Mr. Social Guy. Have you always been that way, and does that kind of help you relax?
Yeah, no, I just like to have fun. I'm just extremely grateful to be able to play baseball for a living and be able to play every day. And sometimes just got to remind those guys we're still playing the game. We got to have fun, So you always see me with a smile trying to have some fun.
Alek Manoah sure had some fun today. He allowed only 2 hits over 7 shutout innings, 1 walk, so only 3 base runners for the entire game for the Royals, and none of the 2 hits went past first base. So an absolutely great evening, great afternoon, let's say, for Alek Manoah. I didn't know Hazel was into shoes, very into shoes. She made a point to bring it up with Manoah. We'll have to see Hazel's footwear next time, Josh.
Oh, yeah, Hazel's always dressed to the nine, so I'm not surprised by that. And Manoah's clearly got a flair, right, for, you remember the Canada Day cleats?
Yep.
He clearly is into that sort of thing, and he's just, you can see it. He's just likes to really have a lot of energy and enthusiasm out there. And there's a reason that Blue Jays fans have flocked to him pretty quickly, right? I remember having the chance to interview him after he got drafted when he was in town a couple of years ago in 2019. And I immediately just thought to myself, well, this guy's going to be just an absolute beauty. Fans are going to love him. And he's going to relish pitching in front of these fans at that ballpark in this city, in this country. And all of that has much quicker than I think a lot of people expected come to fruition. It's great to see.
Absolutely. And you can always text us about anything we've been talking about or anything else that we haven't talked about yet at 590-590. Name and location, please, so we can give you a shout out on the air. And I see the text line actually quite busy for a Saturday afternoon of a long weekend, Josh, so we can get to some of the text right now. I see John in Waterloo says, show Shades of 2016 too soon, asking for a friend. LOL. You know what? I mean, here's the thing, Josh. We always look back and remember the 2015, 2016 run, and certainly the moves that squad, that front office made at the deadline. And here we are. I mean, I know you and Rob talked about it at length yesterday on Jays Talk, but with the moves acquiring Barrios, Soria, we can talk about the moves made days and weeks prior, like the Simber trade, certainly Brad Hand as well. I mean, I don't blame anyone for drawing the parallels to either 2015 or 2016.
Well, and also, especially in 2015, they played the Royals right around this time, like beginning of August, end of July. It was a crazy series. There was the Sanchez ejection, and that was almost a springboard of sorts for the rest of the season. Yeah, it's not the same. I understand. It's an easy comp because of the run differential
right,
and some of the struggles around the same time of the season and the trade deadline. But this club does have a very forgiving schedule here over the next little while. They've got Boston and the White Sox, But there are a lot of winnable games coming up. We mentioned this stretch of Kansas City and Cleveland. Then they go out west. Maybe Mike Trout is back at that point, but the Angels are not a team that should inspire a ton of fear. And then Seattle, which could be a really big series. I don't know what kind of atmosphere it's going to be. And then you've got your Orioles on the schedule as well. I think you're going to see the Detroit Tigers for the first time this month. So there are a lot of games here, and there is the opportunity to go on a little bit of a run. And it just feels like the team just looks complete after the deadline. Deeper bullpen, deeper rotation now. Maybe one of Stripling Matz eventually gets pushed. I think they're going to go with a 6-man, at least with a couple of double headers coming up to keep things, I guess, give Ryu, especially an extra day of rest here or there is not the worst thing in the world. But there's a lot to like right now. But you got to start doing it against teams above 500. This has been the MO of the Blue Jays all season long. They come home or wherever it is. They beat teams below 500, and that's where they've been able to fatten up. And then against teams above 500, we know the story, well below 500. So you are going to have to start winning some games against teams above 500 if you have any aspirations of being there in September and ultimately emerging from the heap to lock down a wild card spot.
Yeah, like you said, 4 games against the Red Sox at the I think that series starts next Friday, and then like you said, the doubleheader will be squeezed in there as well. And then towards the end of August, a 4-game set against the Chicago White Sox. And I mean, they just acquired Craig Kimbrell. They already had Liam Hendricks, and they're a pretty scary team. So I think you want to see how the Blue Jays do against the Red Sox and White Sox, like you said. But, I mean, they also have that 2-game series against the Nationals squeezed in there, and they just sold the farm, right? I mean, I don't even really know who's on the Nationals right now other than Juan Soto. So I think the Blue Jays, you expect them to take care of the series against the O's and the Tigers, 2 series against the Tigers, the Nationals, Mariners, Angels, all as you mentioned. We're taking your text right now on Jays Talk, 590, name and location. I see one here, Josh, from Steve in Scartown. He says, it's crazy how Charlie can look like a bullpen managing genius when he has some decent arms to choose from. Love it. Go, Jays, go. And it's true. I mean, that's something you, Rob, and I have talked about ad nauseum over the last month plus, that a lot of these guys who, even some of the newer guys who are pretty good, were being put into spots that were just untenable for them, right? Like Adam Simber being asked to do maybe too much sometimes. Trevor Richards maybe being asked to do too much but it's probably unfair to ask them to go more than 3 outs, for example. And I mean, look, we saw Ryan Baraki. We can talk about him today, but his place in the remade bullpen, you got Simber, Richards. We mentioned Brad Hand, Joaquim Soria, who we'll see soon, I'm sure. John Axford will join the team in the not-too-distant future. And we can talk about Tim Meza, Taylor Saucedo, and Romano Andolis added in there as well. So this team has completely remade the bullpen, and now Montoyo has a lot of options to choose from.
Yeah, it's nice, right? Because there's been plenty of points, we talked about this last night, where that wasn't the case. And the Simber-Richards trades need to continue to be brought up as great moves. Simber striking out the last 4 batters or the last 4 outs, he gave up a hit of the game for a non-strikeout pitcher. Impressive. Yeah, he just takes the ball, right? Regardless of the situation, he comes in and he gets it done. And you look at the numbers since he got here, excellent. Season-long numbers are excellent, controllable. Just a masterclass in that deal, because what went the other way, I think I last saw Joe Panik had a WRC plus of 8 for the Miami Marlins, and league average is 100. So Joe Panik has not been good for the Marlins, and we'll see what happens with this McInvale fella. But Richards, sort of the same thing, and we'll see what happens with Soria. I'm bullish on that pickup because he has late game experience, right? He knows what it's about, saving baseball games. That might not be his strong suit anymore, but if you throw him into a tough situation in the 7th or 8th inning or even 9th inning, he's been proven even this year for a bad Arizona team to be able to get it done. Hand, the same thing. I saw Blair was on Blue Jay Central before the game and just said that there's some thought that Hand was maybe overextended by the Nats just into too many games and maybe ran out of gas a little bit. And you don't think that that's going to be the case here in Toronto with more depth. And hopefully Baraki can get it back a little bit, because having just another quality lefty in the bullpen with Hand, and I guess to some extent Saucedo, just makes things so much easier for Charlie just to call anyone's name really in a lot of different situations and feel relatively confident that they'll be able to get the job done.
All right, so Josh, you and I and Rob have talked at length about the quote-unquote circle of trust, right? So who's in and who's out of the circle of trust right now for you?
Okay, so Simber is very much in. Meza is very much in. Romano is very much in. Richards is, I wouldn't say he's fully in.
Outer circle of trust, maybe?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I still have some level of pretty good confidence in Trevor Richards. I think one inning, you put him in for one inning, maybe a fourth out. I just wouldn't overextend and push him too much like we saw against Boston earlier in the week, and we know what happened there. That changeup is great, though, so I think he belongs in the circle. He may not be firmly inner, but you look, I guess Hand needs to earn it a little bit before, especially with the way he's pitched in the month of July, but he belongs in some sort of a circle of trust, and so does Joakim Soria. I think Baraki right now, still working his way back, probably isn't in there, but what did I just list off there? That's 5-6 guys who are either outer or fully in the inner. That's pretty damn good, considering where things were. It's certainly in a lot of June and even at stretches in July. So you got to be happy if you're a Jays fan, just knowing that there actually are some reliable options back there, because it's been a dearth pretty much since the middle of May.
Good word, too, dearth. We were talking about Adam Simber as well a little bit. And I don't know if you saw this, Josh, but Ben kind of described this a little bit on the broadcast. But whenever Simber comes to the mound, he touches the rosin bag, and then he kind of does this like a back and forth jig. Like he moves his feet back and forth, jumps to the left, jumps to the right, back to the left, back to the right a couple of times. And when he bent down to pick up the rosin bag, he straightened back up today. And then as he was going to do it, both Semien and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. both jumped in sync with him behind his back, and then he ran onto the mound. It's I know it's not really like you can't really measure this really at all, but it's fun to see the team having fun. I know sometimes that's been criticized, especially when they've been losing. It's like, oh, we got to get serious in the dugout here. But honestly, I'd rather see Springer and Vladdy and Semien and everyone else, both in the dugout and on the field, have fun whenever they can, especially now that they're back at home.
Yeah, I never have an issue with that. Keep things light. I understand that some people want to have scowls on the face after a loss. Sure. Okay. But like, even if you're losing a game in the 7th or 8th inning and you're joking around in the dugout, these guys are human beings, right? They're not robots. They're going to still, try and keep things as light as possible. You don't want to overexert yourself from an anxiety perspective and taking things too seriously. If you can keep a lighthearted demeanor in the clubhouse, generally speaking, things work out. Look at the 2004 Boston Red Sox. They were, I think it was Kevin Millar called them a bunch of idiots. Right. And what did they do? They won the World Series, and they kept things light. They had a lot of fun. There were smiles on the faces. Yeah, when it got to nut crunching time, they did that, but they kept it light, and that clubhouse culture really, I think, propelled them in a lot of ways in the toughest moments. And I think if you have a lighthearted, camaraderie in your clubhouse, just a sense of team spirit, stuff like that is good. I'm never going to have a problem with it, and it's clear that this is a group that plays for each other, loves each other. There's a lot of respect, a lot of admiration between these guys. It's good to see, and I think it's the type of intangible thing that winning ball clubs have.
You're listening to Jays Talk Show, and Josh with you for about 15 more minutes time. Jays Talk is presented by your Ontario Honda dealers. Let's get back to the text line, 590-590. Name and location, please. Eddie in Fort Erie, anytime you pitch a great game combined with a fist bump from one of the best catchers in the business in Perez, you got to feel pretty good about that. If you're Alec Manoah, Wolf in Toronto, this felt like a game from the 80s. Short game, starters go deep, not much offense. Hey, I'm not complaining because the Blue Jays won. I see here Andrew in London. Andrew says, or asks, wow, it's nice to finally have a decent bullpen. Just wondering, with the 2 new pitchers coming in tomorrow, who do you think will be sent down to make room?
Well, Soria, we already saw the moves. Jonathan Davis got DFA'd.
Oh, and Tyler Chatwood got DFA'd as well yesterday.
So
right.
those are the 40-man moves, and Trent Thornton got optioned down for Manoah. So they should be good to go. It'll be all systems go, and I'll be curious to see when Soria gets in a game. And oh boy, the eyeballs are going to be on Jose Barrios in a big way.
Yeah.
Assuming he does pitch tomorrow, I think all expectation is that he will, because there's an opening in the rotation. If for some reason he's just not, maybe he gets in late, he's a little bit tired, they want to give him another day, I guess it would be Thomas Hatch. but I'm operating under the assumption that it's going to be Jose Barrios. A lot of familiarity, obviously, pitching against the Kansas City Royals in the American League Central for his whole career. So I think that could be something where he's not just, feet to the fire, first start pitching at Yankee Stadium. You're going to have to excel there, but not the worst, draw, I guess, landing spot. Pretty cushy as far as it goes. Familiarity. I would expect good things from Jose Barrios tomorrow afternoon.
Peter in Richmond Hill texts in about Barrios as well. After adding him, the Blue Jays probably have the second best rotation in the American League, along with a top 3 lineup in baseball. Their projected win percentage for the rest of the season is the third best in baseball. Any fan would have gladly accepted this fortune 2 years ago. In spite of the peaks and valleys the team has suffered through, the best is yet to come. And I see Robbie from Georgina kind of on the same line here. We're kind of talking around it, I suppose, Josh. But he asks, should the Jays move Stripling or Matz to the bullpen, or do you think a 6-man rotation is the way to go? I know it certainly seems like a 6-man rotation is the way to go, at least for now, especially with a ton of games coming up on the schedule. You mentioned those 2 double headers coming up later this month, or later August. I guess July is over after today. But, I wonder your thoughts on moving Stripling or Matz to the bullpen perhaps later in the season. I feel like maybe Matz is the likelier candidate, even if they do stick with a 6-man for the next, 3 to 4 weeks.
I'm kind of conflicted on this because Ross Stripling does have some track record of being a swing guy and pitching out of the bullpen. Steven Matz really doesn't. But on the other hand, you've already got 2 lefties in the rotation. I feel like it's got to be a performance thing. It's not just all about, who is more likely to succeed. I guess it probably should be who's more likely to succeed in the bullpen. But if Stripling's pitching okay, which, there's been some hiccups of late, but I thought he was okay last night. He was good enough. And Matz isn't, then I think the decision is made. But if they're both kind of struggling or nobody's really separating themselves from one another, then I wonder if Stripling is more likely to go because of the track record, certainly in Los Angeles, being that kind of swing guy who can start a ball game in a pinch, but if somebody, gets hurt or you need somebody to bridge some innings, he can do that as well.
Okay, you know what? I don't. Maybe you've talked me into it a little bit. I was more on the see Matz go to the bullpen side of things, but maybe the way the bullpen has been constructed, as we've talked about today so far on Jays Talk, presented by your Ontario Honda dealers, maybe if the bullpen can continue to be as excellent as we have seen in spurts and with the reconstructed bullpen, and certainly as you hope they will continue to be going forward, maybe if Matz does, he's not going to be perfect, but maybe if he does get touched up a little bit, that the bullpen can, help out there as well. So I wouldn't mind seeing Matz go. I think I've said this to you before, but after Rafael Dolis, I think as Steven Matz might be the least visually appealing pitcher I enjoy watching, even though I think he can be effective at times. But like you said, Ross Stripling does have the pedigree, in a sense, to come out of the bullpen as well. You're listening to Jays Talk, presented by your Ontario Honda dealers. Why don't we hear from one of the men of the hour, as George Springer, who hit 2 home runs, he had 3 RBI today as well, helping the Blue Jays to a 4-0 victory. He spoke to the media after the game.
What have these last 2 days been like for you, getting to Toronto and having a couple of wins right off the bat?
It's been awesome, to finally get back here, to play at home, to play in front of our fans. It's been awesome, but I think the most important thing is I think we've played two quality baseball games and put ourselves in a good position.
Hey George, thanks for the time. Obviously in the offseason you signed because you wanted to play in Toronto. Now you finally get to do that. How long have you thought about, a moment like this, a series where you return to the Rogers Center after so long away?
Yeah, I mean, the whole time, with the uncertainty of kind of what was going to happen, if we were going to get back here or not. Obviously, this is where I wanted to play. This is home, and for us to have a chance to come back here, to play in front of the fans. I mean, the atmosphere has been unbelievable here the last couple games, and I just think it's exciting. I'm glad to be here.
And then your home run in the first inning, after it left the bat, obviously the crowd went wild, and it looked like you were, telling it to stay fair. Could you just walk me through that moment there?
Yeah, I mean, I knew I'd hit it okay, but off the bat, it kind of looked like it was going to go foul, and I don't know, I just said stay fair, and I'm glad it did.
Hey, George, thanks for doing this, and congratulations on the game. You're hitting with 375 with about a 1350 OPS since they moved you up to the leadoff spot. Is the familiarity there? Is it being comfortable there, or is it just a matter of your swing starting to come around?
I think it's a combination of all of it. That's kind of where I've been my whole career. I know how to navigate it, I guess, or kind of attack certain things. But at the same time, it's just also reps. I mean, I know I missed a lot of time. There's a lot of ground to make up, but I'm not going to make excuses about it. I'm just going to go out there and I'm going to compete, and whatever happens, happens.
That's George Springer talking to the media after hitting 2 home runs. He had 3 RBI today as well. But you're listening to Jays Talk, presented by your Ontario Honda dealers. The Blue Jays win it 4-0. Show Ali and Josh Goldberg here with you for a couple more minutes. We'll step aside. When we come back, we will continue taking your texts. I see people texting about the Rogers Center home field advantage and about Corey Dickerson as well. So we'll get to all your texts straight ahead, 590-590. But Jays Talk will continue after this on the Sportsnet Radio Network.
The Blue Jays just put a gigantic spring in their step in center field. Let's see if it catapults them to the top of the standings. Your home for the Toronto Blue Jays, the Sportsnet Radio Network.
Welcome back to Jays Talk, presented by your Ontario Honda dealers. The Blue Jays win it 4-0. George Springer hitting 2 home runs. He had 3 RBI on the evening. Marcus Semien had an RBI triple. Alek Manoah only allowing 2 hits over 7 shutout frames. Show Ali and Josh Goldberg here with you for a couple more minutes. Let's get back to the text line, 590-590. Please leave your name and location. Josh, you and I are in Toronto. I'm at Baseball Control in downtown Toronto right now. And I love getting texts from people all over Canada. I love that we have people texting in from all over the country, from coast to coast to coast. And I see one here from Joe in Raymond, Alberta. Joe says, love listening to our Jays on the radio while driving. Keep up the excellent broadcast and go Jays. Absolutely agree, Joe. Fun to have Ben Wagner back in the radio booth down at the stadium. I see Mike in Saskatoon also saying, tears this weekend. I'm not ashamed to say it. So happy the boys are back. Most people in Saskatchewan bleed green, but mine runs blue. That's from Mike in Saskatoon.
Yeah, great. People are fired up that they're back here. Radio broadcast is back. A nice little just kind of shot in the arm here because it's a long haul, man. We've been doing a lot of games. Hey, I'm not asking you to weep for me. We get to talk about baseball on a daily basis. It's great. It's my dream. But there are lulls in the season where you're just hauling ass a little bit, and trade deadline, coming back to Toronto, a lot of just change in the air. I got a pep back in my step a little bit, and if the team can continue playing at a nice pace, then I think we could be in store here for a very memorable, exciting, fun, whatever adjective you want to use, last 2 months of the season.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm excited to hear Ben yell, finish the ball game, with more exuberance as the season goes on. That's one of my favorite parts about having Ben back here. Back to that text line, 595-90. Henry from Mississauga says, I don't know much about Simber, but I am impressed with him. I picked up the Red Sox broadcast the other night when he pitched, and the Red Sox broadcasters were impressed with him as well, and they're some of the biggest homers going, which is true. They are. I like to listen to, I think it's Nesson sometimes, but the Nesson crew, as professional as they are a little bit of a homer. So if they're being complimentary, let's say, of Adam Simber, that's always a good thing. Andrea in Calgary, she asks, what do you think about losing Semien, Woods, Richardson? Is it a big loss?
Maybe. Maybe. I don't know. I'm on the surface, I'll say no, because I'm just when it comes, how I am about these trades. Yes, it's right. Very possible. He's a young pitcher. He's not a front of the rotation type piece. I think most projections, most analysts have said he could settle in as a nice mid-rotation, maybe a number 3. And that would be great. There's value in that. But you know what there is also value in? A number 2 right now. And Jose Barrios, when it's all said and done over the next 18 months, might end up being the best pitcher on the staff. I think there's a very real circumstance in which that happens. And to me, there's more value in that immediacy than maybe Semien, Woods, Richardson putting it all together and at some point, probably in 2023, being a major league contributor. It's just, how I am with it. maybe he ends up being great, but I'm going to take the more immediate impact and have faith that the Blue Jays will be able to get Jose Barrios signed to a long-term deal.
Oh, yeah. I think that, and I don't think it'll be too prohibitively expensive, in my opinion. But even if it is, I think Barrios is maybe one of those guys you pay up for. And frankly, even at his age, I mean, I say that like he's really old, but Robbie Ray, I would pay up for a 3-4 year deal if it was up to me as well. I think having those two guys flanking Hyunjin Ryu for the foreseeable future, I think is absolutely great. We got a couple of minutes left. Why don't we get back to the text line a couple more times here, Josh? I see one I mentioned before the break. Richard in Toronto had texted in about Corey Dickerson. He says, "Hi guys, with him arriving sometime this week, Randall Grichuk may be hearing footsteps. He is in more than a slump. This is going on 2 months now." With Corey Dickerson, it's interesting, right? Because he was kind of a throw-in, it felt like, when the trade was made to acquire him. But I don't know if he plays even, one inning of baseball this year, that trade is a slam dunk win more than it already is.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what he can bring to the table. He's had injury issues in his career, but he's a proven bat. He's a proven offensive contributor. He's not a prototypical power hitter, but he's a quality offensive player. And this lineup could use an infusion of, well, obviously any more quality is always good, but left-handed quality is good because, Kevin Biggio's hit the skids a little bit again after the neck injury, had that kind of spurt against Boston, which really helped his numbers, but he's been struggling again. Santiago Espinal is going to play more, I think, if Biggio continues to struggle. So you're kind of looking for some lefty bats to come in here. There's a void there for this lineup in terms of lefties. And Dickerson's going to play because Randall Grichuk's been struggling. When was the last time you could definitively say Randall Grichuk wasn't struggling in 2021? Like June?
Yeah.
Late May? So if Dickerson's healthy, he's going to play, whether it's a DH, a corner outfield spot, maybe some first base, whatever it is. They're going to find a way to get him in the lineup, especially if he's hitting.
Absolutely, yeah. I think I'm really looking forward to seeing what Corey Dickerson has. All right, Josh, we have less than a minute to go here, and I see one last text from DB in London. The Blue Jays are loving their home cooking 2-0. We've had our seconds. Let's go back for thirds. And tomorrow, Jose Barrios very likely will be coming to the mound. What are you expecting out of the all the eyeballs being on the latest acquisition for Toronto?
A good curveball, some swings and misses, 6+ innings, and Blue Jays sweep are on my agenda.
All right, there you go. Always good stuff from Josh Goldberg. He and Rob Wong are back tomorrow on Jays Talk. You've been listening to Blue Jays Baseball, powered by Jack Links. Send hunger down to the minors and feed your wild side. Blue Jays win it 4-0 over the Royals. To take the series, they'll aim for the sweep tomorrow. Jose Barrios might be on the mound to wrap things up against KC. For Ben, Josh, Andrew, Tom, I'm Sho. Have a wonderful Saturday night, everyone. We'll talk to you in August.